In this video, we're going to have a look at the 3D anatomy of the brain. Now, in order to help us do this, we're going to use this incredible program. This is Complete Anatomy. Now, let's start and have a look at the brain. Now, you can see we can rotate it around. And why does the brain look like this? First of all, we see that we have these large swellings, these ridges, and between the ridges, we have the deep sulci. So when we're looking at the brain, we can consider two things, gyri and sulci. So the gyri, here's one of them illustrated here, are these raised areas. And as I said, between would be the sulci. Now, one reason we do this is to increase surface area, because the brain, if you want to think about it, the thinking or the processing part of the brain is a very thin outer layer, because deep to the outer part of the brain, much of it is axons, groups of axons, which we call tracts, that are carrying information from one part of the brain to another. So let's start by looking at some of the lobes, because you've often heard that the brain is sort of divided into lobes. And each lobe sort of takes on a group of chores for us. So let's start. So up here is the frontal, and we can see the frontal. We're having a look at the front part of the brain, and you can see the frontal. And of course, it's bilateral. It's on both sides. And we have two hemispheres separated by that long fissure right there. All right, so that is the frontal. So let's move to one of the next structures. And back here, we're into the parietal lobe. So back here is the parietal lobe. We move down to the side, and we have the temporal lobe. And remember, these are bilateral, so they're on both hemispheres. And at the back, we get into the occipital lobe. Now, I want to point out a couple other fairly important structures that we have here. And I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to highlight right here this. This is the precentral gyrus. Now, why is this important? Now, have a look. It runs from sort of the top there, the very top part of the brain, all the way down to right down here to this structure, which is called the lateral sulcus. So let's go back to it. That's the precentral gyrus. And this is the primary motor cortex. So this area that's highlighted in green is really the main area for generating motor activity. Now, what's motor activity? Motor activity is controlling things like your hands, your feet, your muscles, etc. And there's something wild about this gyrus, is that there's something called the homunculus. Now, the homunculus is this representation of the body on there. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is the area up here, right before it enters that little sulcus, that's responsible for part of the body. Down into that deep groove right there, that area is responsible for your feet and your legs. And so what it is it's almost as if your body has been mapped out, and each region along this strip is responsible for sequential parts of the body. Now, the other thing to know about this homunculus is it's not evenly weighted. Some parts of your body get more brain area to deal with. Like, think about your face, around your mouth, your hands. They need a lot of fine control. So more brain real estate is dedicated to them. Okay, so that is the precentral gyrus. And in between is the central sulcus. Now, this is a really good landmark. You can see the central sulcus. It separates largely the front and the back part of the brain. So in front, once again, we would be into the frontal lobe, and back here would be into the parietal lobe, but is a really good landmark. And you can see it sticks out from the rest of them because it starts right at the top, and it comes right down, and it comes all the way down uninterrupted, a few curves along the way, to the lateral sulcus, which is another big sort of landmark we can use to try and find our way around. Because at first, when you start looking at the brain, it looks rather confusing because it looks like it's just gyri and sulci, but we can see there's different parts. Okay, so remember, this was the precentral gyrus, which is motor activity. Let's go to the posterior of that central sulcus. And here's the posterior gyrus. Now, what this one is, this is about sensory. We're moving back into a sensory area. And things like the sense of touch from the body is on here. And once again, we have that concept of a homunculus that would also represent different areas of the body. Now let's spin around. And since we're here, we can have a look. And back here is, of course, the cerebellum. We have the cerebellum back here, and of course it has 2 lobes. So that's a bit of an overview of the 3D anatomy of the brain. This is a fabulous program. I do not get paid by them, but I use it all the time in my teaching. I think it's one of the best things for a student, and I would check it out. It's Complete Anatomy. That's the name of it, and the details are quite excellent. So hopefully this is helpful. The next video, I'm going to go deep into the brain and start looking at some of those deep brain structures. Thanks for listening. Take care.